Another SDA court case due to apostasy. Notice what the headline says. Fiji Mission votes to appeal ruling against Adventist School. The case is set to go before the highest court in Fiji, regional leaders reported. And this has been going on for some time, where originally the state ruled that the SDA school would have to approve any government appointed official, such as a principal in this scenario. But then the government appealed that decision and won the appeal, and the judge ruled in favor of the government to say that the government can appoint whatever principal of that institution, of an SDA institution. Why would they allow that? Because the SDA institution is receiving government aid. The principal of that school is being paid by the government. And whenever a Christian school receives government funds, that is apostasy from Christ. The church is to support its own teachers and provide the funding through the tuition that is brought in for that school. But when the school, SDA school, goes to the government and receives aid to pay those teachers, that is what you call fornication. Revelation 18 and verse 3 makes it clear that when the church unites with the kings of the earth or the governments of the earth, that is fornication. That is apostasy against Christ, because the church is only to be dependent upon Jesus, not dependent upon the government. And now, because the principal of this school is being paid by the government is now saying, we can appoint who is the principal of this school, even if that principal is not SDA. Brothers and sisters, apostasy is rife among us, and this is why we must refrain from any receiving of government funds as the church, as a school, or any religious institution are to refrain from receiving any government aid of any kind. So this is the situation that we're seeing being played out right now in Fiji, and it is set to go before the highest court there as the SDA school is appealing that decision. But the true solution in this scenario is to avoid all government aid. If they were paying their own teachers, then you wouldn't have to worry about this scenario, because the government would have no say in who is principal. This is why when we commit apostasy, we put ourselves in trouble, and now money is being tied up for legal fees and lawyers, where this situation would have never been had this Fiji mission refused from receiving government aid. Here, another article confirming what we're discussing. It says, Fiji Court of Appeal allows state appeal on appointment of head of school. One more. It says, appoint teachers on merit, not faith, if funded by state. And this is a Fiji publication, the Fiji Sun. And in the article, it goes on to say, the state must protect the right and the freedom to practice religion, but at the same time must remain neutral and aloof in matters of religion. Well, in order for them to truly remain neutral and aloof, you cannot fund teachers at religious institutions. That is the only way to truly remain neutral and aloof from matters of religion. So by funding teachers at religious schools, it gives the state that authority to say, you must teach these classes, you must hire this teacher, you must carry these books in your library. And when our schools seek any form of accreditation or government aid, we are committing apostasy and fornication against Christ, brothers and sisters. And this is what we are seeing prevalent among Seventh-day Adventists and in other Christian organizations. We should refrain from all government aid and government funds. When we consider the fact that the church is to be married to Jesus and we are to depend upon Christ and not the government, if a woman goes to another man that is not her husband to receive funds, that would be apostasy on her part. And this is exactly what the Adventist Church has done here in this scenario and in many other scenarios, as the majority of the universities and academies that are in operation in America and in other places have received government funds. Therefore, worldly principles are implemented. Therefore, worldly teachers are hired. Worldly classes are offered. Worldly books are in the library, because the government or the accreditation association can come in and say, you must offer these classes, you must hire these teachers with these degrees because you are receiving government aid. Brothers and sisters, let us stay faithful to Christ as we see that the end of all things is at hand, and we have been warned to not enter into union with the world. 2 Corinthians 6, verse 16 through 18. And what agreement hath the temple of God with idols? For ye are the temple of the living God. As God hath said, I will dwell in them and walk in them. I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Wherefore, come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and ye shall be my sons and daughters, saith the Lord Almighty. We should refrain from any such relationship with the government. Notice what James chapter 4 and verse 4 says. Ye adulterers and adulteresses, know ye not that the friendship of the world is enmity with God? Whosoever therefore will be a friend of the world is the enemy of God. God wants us to be friends of His, not friends with the world. And if you are a friend of God, that means you're walking by faith and you're enrolled in the school of Christ. You're enrolled in true education, not a worldly education. Now's the time for us to truly know Jesus and be friends of Jesus, friends of God, in walking by faith, not by sight, and what the majority are doing. Jesus said, broad is the way that leadeth to destruction, and many in the church go in thereat. Many in the church, but straight and narrow is the way that leadeth unto life, and few there be that find it. Will you find the narrow path to salvation? Let us enroll in the school of Christ and not in worldly education. And when we talk about this school of Christ, we're talking about searching the scriptures, line upon line, precept upon precept. We're talking about reading the spirit of prophecy, which is the testimony of Jesus, reading the Conflict of Ages series, and reading the testimonies for the church. Time is almost up, brothers and sisters. Let us prepare while probation lingers.